have a proper routine at work. So that is the stage we have reached right now. And we think we don't want any disruption. We want to go to work straight and complete it. Starting from tomorrow, we don't want anybody.
But doesn't this come as a ad hoc decision? Just Sunday morning, people just wake up and there is a press release from the Ghana Highway Authority that they are closing the road. Couldn't you have done some more work?
To the public, it seems ad hoc. But
does that make it right?
No, for an engineering work, sometimes we don't even need to explain to the public because we have just realized the situation. It could even be a newly built bridge, and our climate and things could affect things for it to come to a standstill. So certain decisions, if we think that it is in the interest of this country, if it has to be during Ramadan, Christmas, or Dawn, we will stop.
Now, there are some alternate routes that have been made available.
Yeah.
If you could take us through those routes. And there are some concerns that some of these very routes that you are asking drivers to use are not in the right shape. So probably all these things could have been resolved if the right things were done early on.
Everything is being done right. You know, the alternative route we've provided the last time is the same thing we are going to give out now. We have asked contractors to go and work on critical sections to make the access smooth for our publics. And right now, as I'm talking to you, our engineers are rushing to site, not as an afterthought, because there are people already working on the rehabilitation, but we're also just going to see, whilst we were working on those critical sites, were there other places that have developed certain issues that we thought were okay at the time? As for anticipation, anything is necessary or anything could happen. So we have anticipated. But if we have to be faced with this, that's how we are dealing with it.
Now, away from that, education NGOs have joined forces to demand a detailed document from government on how it intends to leave the running of basic and second cycle schools in the hands of the assemblies and regional coordinating council. Now, 2 teacher unions have issued a 7-day ultimatum to government demanding the issuance of a document that will explain why district assemblies will control basic schools from 2018. The Ghana National Coalition of Education is the next to join the demands. Brighter Pierre is with the coalition.
Should be somebody who has knowledge in the education sector. It's very crucial. And then also because of that, we are also suggesting that whoever becomes the district chief executive must also be at a certain level in terms of qualification. Because what we have realized is that there's always a friction between the director of education and then the district chief executive, because most of the directors of education hold masters, and because the district chief executive is a political position, some of them may not have that qualification. So there's always a friction between that. So now that we are bringing it under the assembly, we have to iron some of these things out and then build a capacity of the assembly to be able to deal with some of these issues. Because now, assembly members are going to take decisions, you know, which is going to be something that they have to enforce. So what is the capacity of the assembly in taking some of these decisions? So we have to do a lot of thinking in terms of how we want to roll out this program. Even if government want to do it on a pilot basis, I think that would help her to iron out some of the issues as and when we can. But the decision of making the assemblies have responsibility and then the regional coordinating council have oversight responsibility, I think that is a good call. But in the process, we'd have to see how best we can implement it so that we don't encounter any problems.
Now, for those of you who love to tour Ghana, this will definitely come as some good news, as the Kintampo Waterfalls has been reopened to the public. Now, Vice President Dr. Baumia tasked Ghanaians and managers of the facility to exhibit good maintenance of the facility to boost tourism in the region. Larry Parkwesi Moses has more.
The Kintampo Waterfalls recorded its highest fatality in living memory when natural disaster struck the tourism site on 19th March this year, claiming the lives of 18 students and injuring others. The incident necessitated the immediate closure of the waterfalls by the Ghana Tourism Authority for structural works to be carried out. About 500,000 cedis has been spent on renovation. Huge and old trees which surrounded the waterfalls have been cut down and landscaping is being undertaken at the basement. Speaking at the reopening of the waterfalls, the Vice President, Dr. Baumia, regretted the tragic incident at the site which led to the death of 18 students. He stressed the need for stakeholders to guide and protect the country's tourism site. Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Catherine Afeku, urged management of the facility to use funds generated at the facility judiciously.
Right, now UNICEF estimates improved sanitation can reduce diarrhea rates by 36%, but only 15% of Ghanaians have access to improved sanitation. In the following report, Wendy Lai and Catherine Frimpoma highlight the practice of open defecation at Choko, a suburb of Accra. Viewers should note that the following visuals could be disturbing.
Choko is a fishing community in a neighborhood in the Greater Accra region of Ghana. The community bordered to the south by the Atlantic Ocean with fishing and fishmongering as the mainstay of the inhabitants. Choko is a densely populated community which lacks basic social amenities such as toilets and drains. Our observation on insanitary conditions at the beach and seashore was an eyesore. Residents, both young and old, practiced open defecation at the shore of the sea, which is known as a toilet base by the locals. Open defecation refers to the practice where people go out to open spaces rather than using toilets to discharge fecal matter. Residents have accepted the practice, which has been a norm for years. Unperturbed by our presence, it was business as usual. The activity was ongoing very close to these fishermen who were sorting out their catch.
We wake up at dawn to go fishing, so it will be convenient if 2 toilet facilities are constructed here, or else we will continue to defecate in the open.
Dokunete explained they were willing to pay subsidized amounts if public toilets were built close to the beach.
We can't afford to construct a toilet. We don't earn much from our fishing business.
Another fisherman, Bruce Lankwe, lamented the situation was frustrating, reiterating a clean beach could have been an income earner for the region.
The fecal matter bursts out and splashes on the fish. We just wash it and sell because it's no fault of ours.
For others, they would always defecate on the shores of the beach whenever they're within that range. So we asked, why do they prefer open defecation to using a toilet? And really, is there a difference?
One enjoys the breeze while defecating at the seashore. Besides, it's free.
According to WaterAid, total sanitation is not just important to human health, but also to economic and social development. Yet, improved sanitation in African countries, including Ghana, hasn't been achieved due to factors like human behavior. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly, AMA, admitted there is a challenge, but stressed it has put in place measures to deal with the menace. An option some residents, including those at Choko, are refusing to take advantage of. UNICEF Ghana Wash Project estimates 3,600 Ghanaian children under the age of 5 die each year from diarrhea, a challenge closely linked to poor water and sanitation.
We maintain the same rate that we've achieved over the last 25 years. It's going to take another 500 years for us to stop open defecation in Ghana.
Improved sanitation can reduce diarrhea rates by 36%, but only 15% of Ghanaians have access to improved sanitation, well short of the 2015 goal of 54%.
There's been some good work done by government, but not enough. In countrywide behaviour change programs with a real focus on changing the way people act, And importantly, changing the situation so using a toilet becomes normal for everybody. And it's critical that we have that level of effort if we're really going to make a difference.
In the community, we noticed most houses had bathrooms but no toilets.
We don't have a toilet facility here. We have to go across the street to access the closest public toilet.
In our quest for more answers, we decided to search for a nearby public toilet. It took us over 10 minutes to locate the closest. At the Galilee Community Public Toilet, we were told about 200 residents use the facility daily.
They charge us 40 pesos.
We charge 40 pesos. Some residents are reluctant to pay, whilst others think it is a government-owned facility. But this is not so.
According to the 2015 WHO UNICEF Joint Monitoring Program for Water Supply and Sanitation, 946 million people defecate in the open globally. The 2012 World Bank report on economic impact for poor sanitation in Africa indicates that $79 million a year is lost in Ghana due to open defecation. A senior environmental health analyst at the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development admits there must be a collective effort to deal with the social canker.
I think that as a country we can deal with it, but we need to do things different from how we have been doing things. We need to intensify and we also be truthful to the larger Ghanaian population that it is your duty to build and own a household latrine. Law enforcement is also key. MMDAs need to actually sit up and prosecute where necessary.
WHO estimates the number of people practicing open defecation has actually increased within sub-Saharan Africa and will not be eliminated in the poorest rural areas by 2030. It is worthy to note that the response to sanitation feeds into nearly all the other Sustainable Development Goal targets. Thus, the achievement of this may seem simple as a goal, but could hold the key to others as well.
Well, Sunday, November 19, 2017 was World Toilet Day. Now, World Vision International Ghana has called on government to prioritize and increase funds on sanitation.
Estimated that 2.6 billion people in the world do not have access to toilets. In Ghana, statistics show only 13% of the population have access to improved toilets. The figure does not include those who share their toilets with friends and neighbors. The rest, however, practice open defecation. The news team visited Kwawoma Chichirure in the Itrima Kwawoma district of the Ashanti region, where residents still use pit latrines. Some community members who spoke to us appealed to government to come to their aid. Both men and women go to the same place of convenience. We need help. Our place of convenience is not good at all. We need government intervention. To help save the situation, citizens of the community have put up a toilet facility. Proceeds from the facility will be used to set up an educational fund for needy but brilliant students in the Chichirure community. Financier of the project, Augustine Owusu, reminded residents to ensure proper sanitation at all times.
Now, away from that and to news that kept us trending all night. It was a night of thunderous approval at the Accra International Conference Center when Zainab from the Northern region was declared winner of the 2017 Ghana's Most Beautiful Pageant reality show on TV3. Now, Thierry Zainab couldn't believe the reality when it actually dawned on her, even though she stepped into the GMB house praying for this very day. And it happened in style, perhaps beyond the expectation of 23-year-old Zainab Abdul Mumin. It has been a tough experience in the last 13 weeks 4-week journey for the beauty queens, but entertaining, educative performances interspersed with pure creativity for their audiences. Now, here are some highlights.
You are all winners. GMB 2017.
Straight out of Ghana.
Goes to Zainab.
Zainab! And it goes to the North. GMB 2017. Our second place winner. Our second place winner is Baba Boche. Our top prize winner is Zainab from the Northern region. And
congratulations, Zainab.
congratulations to Baba, our second place winner, first runner-up. And Zainab is our queen, the pride of the Northern region. And she can't stop shedding tears. Beatrice Abe, General Manager, MGTV, make another presentation to Baba Boche. Here we go.
When you see her, she is our new Ghana's most beautiful, and she came straight out of Ghana.
This be the total cheat. You must see my lawyer. This be the total cheat. You must see. And it's all excitement here.
Congratulations, Baba. And she comes first runner-up representing the Central region. Shall we move to the foyer for the presentation of the car
and now we have a presentation of a brand new Kia Sportage. And now Beatrice Ajaman, General Manager, MGTV, presents the brand new Kia Sportage.
So, congratulations, we wish you all the best. We wish you a successful year. We hope that you take on great projects.
And so there the Queen sits for the very first time in a brand new Kia Sportage provided by Irata Motors. They set the true standard. And here we go. She cracks the engine. Congratulations.
Well, so it's time for headlines as expected, and we'll start with The Finder, which has stories such as the education overhaul takes off, focus on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics right from the basic level. That came from the president. Also, GJA must be firm in ensuring that journalists are not taken for granted. That came from the Minister of Information. Tributes keep pouring in for Kaba, and there's an insert of the late Kojo Asare Balfour Echampon. Also, Bawumia reopens Kintampo Waterfalls, which was closed. And then finally, First West Africa Offshore Training Center inaugurated. These are the stories on The Finder.
All right. So, quick look at the education overhaul that is taking off. I don't know how many times we will overhaul our educational system, but I mean, it's not a new story for me. There's nothing new about overhauling our education. If you remember the 3-4 year senior school system, that is been a battle between the NDC and the NPP. Anytime they're in power, you won't be amused at all. For me, the key thing is if it's indeed what we're doing is right. Exactly. If after 60 years we're still talking about overhauling our education, then we're doing something wrong. Over the night, when I was taking a rest, something kept ringing in my head that we talk so much about making our education right, but when you visit our rural areas, you realize that government is simply the main body that is impeding the growth of our education. Look, get to our rural communities. Education is bad because the places are not open up. There are no roads there. So teachers are not going there. There are no roads there. So entrepreneurs don't want to go there. There are no roads there. So nothing is working there. Okay? Government's duty is to open up the roads and get even private entrepreneurs to go there and set up educational facilities there. Now, if these things are not done, and we sit in a crowd, all we talk about is we're overhauling the educational system, we're doing science, mathematics, technology, and all that, it will get us nowhere. Certainly. We are lagging behind because there is simply no conscious effort to push our education up. What we need to do is to stop this. We are overhauling this, we're overhauling that. The system is good, but the problem is that we are not allowing the logistics needed at the various points to get our educational systems running. Look at the University of Ghana. How many times have we seen a real effort at improving accommodation, lecture rooms there? Okay, we need conscious effort to do it. I mean, if we're talking about overhauling these and we don't make a conscious effort, we're talking about this every day and it won't take us anywhere.
Exactly, Brett, and I so agree with you because like doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. Like you said, the implementation is not a problem per se, because if the infrastructure is laid out there, everything will fall in place. I, for one, I'm interested when they say they're going to increase the amount allocated for, research and development. Again, it comes to say that if you increase the money, but they don't have the facilities to do that research or that development, you have to stand still. The money will end up going into people's pockets because people are interested in research. But Bright, when you get out there on the field, even getting the people to actually, you have to trick. Let's say I go into a community, I want to find out the number of people who get malaria in that field. I have to walk a long distance to even get the information. Even to gather those people is a big deal. How to get them, how to transmit that data, because you need technology. We don't have the computers in these places. You don't have electricity. When I go there, I don't have water. I'm going to spend more time and more money doing that little research than I would. If you compare with my contemporaries, exactly, it will put me off. Because at the end, right, all these papers, you go to these research departments and you have so much information sitting there on the shelves. It's not that people don't know how to do it, but they're not motivated to do it because it takes so much time to do a little piece of research. So in as much as the GDP will be increased in that allocation, if the resources to get it done are not there, people will be demotivated and they won't work.
Look, visit some rural areas and find out for yourself. It's just a few communities that has have classrooms for kindergarten. Okay, either they are in some church or under a tree. If you remember, when the junior high school started, there was this thing they call the T-board. Go and you just take a trip around Ghana and see how many rural schools okay, even have teachers to teach. I think it's called basic design and technology or something, that course. Okay, it started with all the celebrations. Today, it's just a few schools in Accra who you see the students carrying that T-board. Our rural schools have all thrown them some because there are not even teachers to teach that. Okay, so it's the same thing we're doing. Now, we can overhaul it, but how sure are we that the systems we're putting in place would work? That is what we need to do. Just talking about overhauling, well, it isn't the solution for me. Let's see some more action being done with our education. It's such a pity.
Well, so on the Ghanaian Times also, the Catholic bishops tell government to stop violent groups. Also, NDA to get $57 million annually. That's coming from the vice president. Then the president also says 60% science students for technical institutions. Interesting there. Well, of course, the NDA to get $57 million annually is a good thing because it will boost, the rural development in the areas. But again, we keep saying, when the monies are allocated, let's make sure they're being used for the right programs so that everyone in that area benefits. Because ultimately, when we say rural development, but the heads are the people benefiting from the programs or the monies are going directly into their pockets, then we don't achieve that rural development we're looking for. So the monies may go, but if they don't do what is set out to do, we all lose as a nation.
A lot of the money goes into capacity building, it goes into training, and then you have all this. If you read the story, the vice president is talking about villages without water, villages without roads and all that. These are real. And I would have loved to see a conscious effort from the center to develop these communities, take development there, take schools there, take roads there, take water there. I don't know how well it will work, putting these under the development authorities. We've seen it all before, from Nkrumah's 7-year development plan to PAMSCA to all those things. It has not helped us. I would have loved to see central government make a conscious effort to take development there instead of putting them under these authorities. But let's hope and see how they work. The government says that the other organizations set up to bring development to these communities have failed. Let's see how this would work, and we'll move on. As for the Catholic bishops talking about the violent groups, I think the president has said it, that government is ready, and that the president himself said he will not sit by and watch these groups cause mayhem. We're praying that what he said will be done. At least we'll have some quiet about these groups going violent. We'll hope and pray that indeed we'll see what the Catholic bishops are talking about. All right, time now to rant. And this morning, I'm sure you heard about the former, the finance minister suggesting that in 2018, government will only buy a Corolla, not the V8 for its appointees and functionaries. Exactly what he means, I don't know, but the idea is to cut down the cost of vehicles that are bought for appointees. If you remember, in the build-up to the new government, we were told that there was a freeze on buying of vehicles for government departments and agencies. It means that it's been lifted, and so, but government said we're not going to buy the V8. We're going to buy Camrys, the Corollas, and the rest for them to cut down costs. I don't know how well that can cut down costs, but for instance, one of the reasons why they ask for this V8 is the nature of the road, okay? And it's the same thing. Look, I have said that if you want to fight malaria, don't go buying medicines. Get your gutters sealed. Malaria is dead, okay? Now, you want to buy Corolla for these appointees. What about the minister who comes from, let's say, some community that the road is bad? Can a Corolla work there? That's a key thing. So That's government idea, but we'll see how it
But
works.
I would have been interested to hear that there'll be a sanction, like government has decided not to buy V8s, and so if they buy V8s this time around, maybe we'll put them, I mean, whoever asked them to
Will be
buy.
surcharged.
Yes. Otherwise, there's always a way around it. They can say, like you rightly said,
I mean,
they'll say for this particular MP, we bought a V8 because the road in his constituency is bad, and then it will be explained away. But anyway, that's what we think. What do ranters out there think as they rant with George Queenan this morning?
Right here is a Toyota Corolla, and don't be surprised to see a minister or a deputy driving this from 2018. A government bid to cut down costs will see them not driving V8s anymore, and it's either going to be a Camry or a Corolla. But how feasible is this directive? Welcome to Daily Rant.
What they go do the V8 then buy the V8 then share give the ministers already. What they go do them?
Then go buy. If they then buy. I mean, they already. They already. That's why they talk say me. I go prefer say make them use the V8 now.
Okay.
Sake of if they travel, me if my puppy be minister, I no go expect say my puppy go sit come inside go north. With the speed then they use for road top, I no go agree. Sake of
it be convoy driving. It be convoy. Listen, that thing it be convoy. So they pave way for other road users. They move them from the road. So what be your problem with if they drive Camry, they no go fit catch.
He said if they drive Camry, they no go catch. If make I tell you something. If they clear the road safe, we they drive without no car no dey the road top. But accident go fit happen anytime. But the safety for V8 inside no be like Camry.
That be why escorters they clear the road. So what exactly they clear the road? So what exactly are you talking about?
Me, I don't have any problem. They are ministers. Becoming a minister for a state is not a small thing. I'm rather thinking that they should use their V8, but they have to finance themselves when it comes to fuel.
Then what's the essence of being a minister? You need to get some benefits.
What's the essence of being a teacher? Should somebody benefit more than somebody in the economy? The ministers there, they were taught by teachers. Teachers are not getting any benefits for being teachers, but they want to get benefits for being ministers. After all their salaries, they
don't go to parliament.
Nah. We are talking, but they are planned already. I think they are planned already, so they made their mind.
But no, so we too, as we be citizens, if I talk say, we know they want and the V8 them buy already. That cost, we already incurred that cost already.
The only problem I have with that initiative is we have the car already. What are we going to do with the cars that we have in the system?
There is a word called auction. Auction it out. So use the same funds. Use the same funds. Auction it out. What are you talking about?
They can auction the cars. They are going to auction the cars with 3,000 and 4,000 and 5,000 for V8. What are you talking about?
There are individuals with money who wants those cars for better businesses. Fine. This is a simple point. We are going to purchase Camry for the state.
And Corolla.
Fine. Dispose the V8s. Look at the price of the Camry and the Corolla. Selling the V8 can buy 2 times.
I think he has a case. He has a point.
Why would we dispose the V8 and then purchase what we want?
Are we going to dispose the V8 at the right prices? That is what I want to know.
V8 what? Listen, let me make my point. No.
Listen. The car. When you talk of auction, you don't get the same price of the car.
So it depends on the way you want to auction it.
What about auction to the general public?
How they go for auction to the general public? We did this country where they auction cars several times. People buy them 2,000 Ghana cedis, 30,000 Ghana cedis. In some country, how much people buy them? Then go tell you that the auction to the public. Somebody go take money, give one public figure, he go buy, the minister will go take. So make we no waste on our time do that auction thing or anything. The V8 we get already. Make the ministers use the V8 go wherever they go. It be very safe to drive, but make them forward in my own car.
Why would government bring this directive? What is the reason behind this?
It's just to cut down cost. There is a way to do it. We have the cars in the system. We have to use it and put it. It should be in our mind that from this year, this is what we are going to do. But the ones we have in the system, we should just use it and then be buying this one in addition, so that there will no more be V8. But if we are to cut it once, I don't think it's going to be possible. The government, the ministers are using the fuel. They are misusing the fuel. That is the main thing. They will go and buy the fuel, and they will be using the cars for their girlfriends to be riding it. That is our main problem.
Have you seen one minister's girlfriend driving a V8?
You don't expect me to see before I tell you.
So don't say it.
We are in Ghana. We know what happens.
But don't say it if you don't have it. If you don't have it.
That is what I'm saying. That I can't tell you everything that I've been seeing. You understand?
I want to know, for evidence sake,
We are on TV, so we are not in court. We are not in court right now. We are not in court. If we are in court, I'm telling you something. Why? That's my problem. That be, if we we are auctioning one V8, we should auction it to close a gap to a Camry, because we can a Camry will be like a 1.2 or 1.3 million. You can't sell a V8 for 50,000. You understand? So you should sell.
You are selling the V8 for 50,000. Is the government going to raise for another fund to top it up and go and purchase it? No. Here lies the case. We want to dispose the car, and we are going to purchase a Camry for, let's say, 1.2. Fine. Why won't we sell the V8 for twice that amount? And then for disposing one car, we purchase 2 Camrys. In that state, if one person is using a 1 V8 and it's sold out, we purchase 2 Camrys. Here lies the case. One person will also benefit from the very one person's sales. Another person has benefit. So let's take it like this: the minister and then his deputy. They've disposed one. In order of bringing down things, they've gotten an extra car. So what on Adebako? No Akwa family. On your profit.
But here are critics almost into ministers. They feel so pompous. How much is saloon car?
We drive a saloon car. I'm coming. The citizens driving the saloon car, are they less human? That is one question you should ask yourself. The citizens driving the Camry, they are also human, and they are.
And this is honorable.
Honorability works. Fine. If the car is neat, it's nice, and you're driving it, what stops you from driving?
George, my guy get points in making statements. Oh, it'll be fine. We have to auction the cars and everything. At the first point, when we auction the V8, we wouldn't be getting at the price we bought it then. Now, the cost of using a Camry to do your rounds in maybe a suburb in northern region, when you come back to Accra for maintenance and everything, it mounts have to buy another Camry. It will mount. It will.
You have an experience.
With the rough roads there and a Camry. That is why they use the V8. So I'm saying let us maintain the V8.
So a maintenance work can cost like 20,000 plus.
That's the reason why this committee they formed recently. Inquiry committee or what? You've been seeing the cost of maintenance they give to us on paper. It can buy another car. So what I'm saying is, if they've already done a partnership with any Corolla or Camry company, and then they want to help that person, give those cars at a cheaper prices to teachers and other workers. Let the ministers use their V8 from their salary. Let them buy their own fuel. Let them maintain their own cars, because other people are also doing the same with their own salaries.
Why is it that when they were no ministers, they were using saloon cars and they don't have any problem using it? What's the difference between them being a minister and using V8 and honorables? It doesn't matter. You understand? A friend told me that he traveled to Nepal and he saw a minister coming with a saloon car, and there's no problem with it. So I don't see the reason why we cannot use it here. We can do it. Once we call ourselves less developed countries, and we are telling ourselves we can use saloon cars as ministers.
Okay, let's look at this. Let them use the Camrys and then the Corollas. When it's, let's say, long journeys, we can use V8.
Okay, so then we are adding more cost. If they are going somewhere, they should use the V8. I'm the MP for Ladekotopon. Let's see, where am I going? From Flagstaff House to Ladekotopon. They are just a stone throw. So somebody will say, why am I using V8? So the point is, okay, we want to use the Camry to cut down cost. When we are going to North, let us use the Alolo buses, because the Prime Minister of Britain uses the public transport.
He uses a bicycle. Yeah.
So why don't they use the Alolo then go there? There are other public transports that they can use to maneuver themselves around. That one will save us cost.
The problem is, we are not disputing the fact that they are using V8. It's for comfortability. We understand. Fine, perfect. Here lies the case. You are in Accra. From your house to Parliament, you can equally drive any car at all. You can even go with Uber. You can even go with
Uber. Your minister going to Uber.
What stops? What does it make?
It's a minister.
I'm coming. Minister, if you become a minister of state, does that privilege gives you the effrontery that you have 2 bloods?
My last word to the president is doing a very marvelous job. but I will try and then advise him to be very, very, very cautious of his people. This cars thing, I mean, it's a good thing, and we have to prioritize it. But first, he has to prioritize made in Ghana goods, and Kantanka is, I think, is the best for now. In terms of,
and don't be surprised to, let's say, know that a Kantanka car can cost more than even a V8 or, let's say, a Corolla.
Yes, yes, it depends. But then if the government come into contract with him, just like Roland Agambiri, RLG, I mean, we can do the same thing. What stops us from doing that?
I've had a change of mind now. I just want to tell the government that they should go in for Kantaka cars. Nothing else. Kantaka. Nana, please, I'm begging you. Go in for Kantaka cars for the government. Thank you.
So, government, these are the concerns coming from the public. They want you to ensure the ministers, buy their own petrol and finance their own cars. You can also even use the Kantanka cars just in a bid to cut down costs. Let us know what you should think. Watching home, log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's News on TV3, and on Twitter, it's our News TV3. We came to you from Labadi here at Accra. Thanks for watching.
All right, Daily Graphic gets the chance to start this one. It says senior high schools risk closure, scholarships, subsidies, food supplies in arrears. The president of CHARS, Mrs. Cecilia Kwache Kofi, there at the Winneba Secondary School Speech and Prize Giving Day. The Times says stop violent groups, Catholic bishops tell government, and the Statesman says boost for rural development, development authorities to serve as catalyst. That's a big one on the front page. The Finder, education overhaul takes off. Focus on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics right from the basic level. The BNFT says government cancels 11 power agreements. State to pay $402 million in settlement. Those are some of the papers I have with me. My guest this morning, the founder of the Youth Enterprise Development Foundation, Kasisi Ricky Pepra, is here. Good morning.
Good morning, Brian.
I hope you are doing great.
By His grace.
Thanks for your time with us. And then the Member of Parliament for the Adaklu constituency, a member of the NDC, Honorable Kwame Agboja, is here. Good morning, too.
Good morning, Bright.
And I hope you're doing great.
Great.
I'm expecting the Member of Parliament for the Futu constituency, a member of the NPP, Alexander Afenyo Markin. But let's start with the Daily Graphic this morning. The big one on the front page says that senior high schools risk closure. We're told that the president of the Conference of Heads of Assisted Senior High Schools, Mrs. Cecilia Kwache Kofi, has called on the government to, as a matter of urgency, release subsidies which have been in arrears for 3 terms to senior high schools. She said senior high schools risk being closed down if the absorbed fees by government did not reach the schools immediately. Speaking at the 68th Speech and Prize Giving Day of the Winneba Senior High School in Winneba, Mrs. Kofi said the major challenges confronting senior high schools are the arrears and subsidies, release of payment of scholarship to second and third year students, and the renege on the part of government to supply food to the schools. The event was on the theme Quality Education, Socio-Economic Need of Ghana. Now, she said that although the heads of schools had submitted enrollment figures and also engaged the government on several occasions, nothing was forthcoming, saying it is a fact that heads of schools are under serious pressure but are afraid to voice it out for fear of intimidation and sanctions. She also called on government to revert the procurement of items to the traditional suppliers, since, in her estimation, the new contractors maybe don't have the capacity to supply food items to the schools. Now, on the buffer stock, this is what she said. Now, since the buffer stock company took charge of the supply of food items on the directive of government, no supply had been made to schools, a situation which was having a debilitating effect on academic work. She said the heads had fallen on fees paid by continuing students to feed first-year students, saying those fees were also not forthcoming. According to the CHARS president, who just handed over to a new head, the heads of all institutions had wholeheartedly embraced the free senior high school policy, since it was meant to relieve them from the challenges of demanding fees from students, most of whom could not afford to pay. So a lot of issues there raised by the Conference of Heads of Assisted Senior High Schools. Let me quickly welcome my third guest, Member of Parliament for the Futu constituency, a member of the NPP, Honorable Alexander Afinyo-Market. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hope you're doing great.
Well, by His grace, but you being in black, it suggests of what we all heard last week, and very sad indeed. So I'm going to add my voice to the many who have expressed condolences. And then also TV3, yesterday you ended your 13-week of
yes, Ghana's most
showcasing our diverse culture and heritage, and our ladies did well. I was trying to get something from Merchant of Venice to quote.
To describe the whole situation.
They were ladies of wondrous virtues. That's how Bassanio described Portia, a lady he wanted to have as a wife at the time. So they've done well. Congrats to Zainab. She's the pride of the North. And of course, our own Baba from Central Region. She appeared very popular. She's put up a good fight. Better luck next time. I think Central have been winning in the past. So all the best to all of them.
Next
they should continue to do the good job for Ghana.
All right, I'm grateful. Alexander Afinyo-Market, Member of Parliament for the Futu constituency. Ricky, let me begin with you. We're also mourning, like Alex said, Daily Graphic has a front page. A quick one on that. Multimedia journalist Kwame Asaribafo Champon passed on in the course of the weekend, and a sad day for journalists. A quick one on that as we get ready. I had Professor Akosa suggest that we should take keen interest in knowing how our bodies are in the course of work. I think that admonition should go to all of us, I guess.
Yeah, it's very sad. Unfortunately, I never got to meet him in person. But the reviews that all over the various media channels indicate that he was sterling professional. And there was quite some unanimity on the fact that he was a person who was an anti-corruption campaigner. So my condolence goes out to his wife. Apparently he got married only last year. Nobody can wish that on anybody. But as for the call on our health, I think it is unfortunately yet another opportunity for us to review our individual attitudes towards our health. We lost Komla Dumont in not too dissimilar circumstances. And this time again, I can only say that probably if the remuneration of the journalists, and this should apply to everybody in any case, but it looks like you people have been complaining about your conditions of service, so maybe if health insurance package is part of the various media houses. Once upon a time I worked with a private organization, and that was how I got my first set of glasses, because I was being paid so poorly that I would just stop, those glass spectacles peddlers in town, and they normally have a small New Testament, and then you take it and you look, and once you can read, you pick it. Apparently that affected my eyesight adversely. But once I started enjoying this health facility, the insurance facility, I went and I got myself some glasses. So yes, it is a general attitude among Ghanaians, but when people have the facilities, I am sure, for example, if TV3 decides that they are going to get a private health insurance, no offense to the national health insurance, and you know that if you walk into a hospital, they can do a basic checkup on you at no terrible dent to your pay pocket, I'm sure you would want to do so. Sometimes I wonder how you people manage to do it. You are here till the beginning of the next day, and you are here at the beginning of it's the hours you keep, not to talk about, just the pressure, but even just the hours you keep require some amount of seriousness to be taken to our health. So I think the call is in the right direction.
Can you say I'm grateful? Kwame, so Kabe's gone. We've been asked to be careful. I mean, take particular interest in what our bodies are telling us.
Well, Bright, I must say that Kaba's passing is a very sad one. I know Kaba, and I know the young wife who used to work at Radio Gold and now works at Class FM. In fact, she would have called myself and my colleague once upon a time to give our views on something. She's always polite, and I think she's been a parliamentary correspondent for some time. And I'm told they just had a young kid. The unfortunate passing of our brother, I share some platforms with him. He's such a gentleman, hardly raises anything that brings controversy, a calm-mannered person. And we were in Koforidua, section of members of parliament are in Koforidua for the post-budget workshop. And over lunch, we all were pondering over our own fate in terms of how our work make it almost impossible for us to do anything that reflect on our health. I mean, you are compelled to be an early waker and then a late sleeper. In between, what you find is what you eat. Exercise has become a wish instead of an action. And all these things just pile up the problems that will eventually give you an unpleasant end. And we've been telling ourselves we should all do our best to find time to pay attention to our health, because how good a leader can you be if you are dead? If you can't pay attention to your health, you are of no use to anybody, because once you are gone, you are gone. So I think the unfortunate passing of our brother should be as a wake-up call to all of us. Pay attention to, we are told, in fact, we don't know exactly how he passed on, but I mean, some people believe he's got an underlying health problem. Unfortunately, he passed on. So we pray and wish the Lord himself console the family, especially the wife and the young kid. My brother did mention something about remuneration and other things of journalists. I think this matter has come up severally. These are the people we call the fourth estate of the realm. But we all know if journalists or people who work in this industry were to put their pay slip on this table for discussion now, you will be shocked. It's not the best, and some of them don't even have the basic safety net. I mean, it should be possible for the organizations to have a kind of a healthcare plan outside even of the NHIS for them, so that things like this can be done for them. I'm not saying he was lacking healthcare, but I'm saying that there may be some who needed that more, and their remuneration should also be taken care of. We should see this as a very sad day for Ghana. He's been a voice on radio, particularly in this country, unless you don't listen to any radio. And most prominent politicians statesmen in this country might have encountered him in the course of their life, especially in the last 4 years or so. So we wish our brother a safe journey home. We shall meet again.
Right. I'm grateful. Alex, you have said everything, or you just want to add a few?
Well, I mean, as we mourn, sometimes we also have to look forward to the preventives. Whether you're a journalist, a politician, a businessman, work-related stress on all of us, we don't really pay attention to our health. I'm sure yesterday you finished the program late. You were not there though, but I saw the security men, and they were just telling me that, Honorable, we left there at 3, and they're at work today at 6. So we don't get enough rest. Last week we spoke about diabetes in Ghana. The rate at which is going up. Young men are getting diabetes and all that. It's all because of our eating habits, work-related stress. We don't exercise and all that. So, well, it's a wake-up call. Right. We should continue to exercise, but I'm not too sure the last submissions by Kwame that media people or journalists are not well paid. Well, I'm not sure he's referring to Bright. I don't think Bright and TV3. I don't think you didn't nod to that submission, meaning you disagree.
I see.
But generally, we expect those of you in the media fraternity to be well paid.
Okay.
And you have been championing people's matters. You've been advocate for those vulnerable in society. I wonder how, you get low pay and you don't talk about it.
Alex, okay, it's the beginning of a week. We won't talk more about that.
So
we'll move on. No, we won't say anything. We'll move on. Daily Graphic has this story: senior high schools risk closure there, and it's some issues with scholarships, subsidies, food supplies in arrears. We're told that the buffer stock that took charge of the supply of food items or the directive of government has not been making the supplies, a situation which was having an effect on academic work. Mrs. Kwachi Kofi, the president of CHARS, is saying that government is also reneging on payment of some scholarship subsidies. Ricky, let me begin with you here. She said that government should quickly come to these schools because if that doesn't happen, she said there's an immediate reason to close down the schools. How well should government quickly get to these schools with this alert?
Yeah, Brad, thank you very much for this opportunity. I am happy that you made me the first person to discuss this matter before it degenerates into a ping pong. This issue is not today's issue. Over the years, government subvention has never been on time. So I'm hoping that we do not make this a political party affair. There must be some challenges. And what normally worries me is why we have to wait to a certain point for all these calls to be made before people wake up to their responsibilities. I particularly expect this government to have had 24-hour surveillance on this issue because of it's one of its major policy goals, the free education. So somehow this comes to sour the joy that many Ghanaians were beginning to feel with the advent of the free SHH system. So I don't really have much to say except to say that there can't be anybody in this country who does not have an interest in the education of our children. Even if you do not have your own, you must have a nephew, niece, or grandchild in this system. And whatever it is that is keeping these scholarship monies to be made available, something has to be done about it. It has to be taken with a certificate of emergency. I don't like calling him, but I don't know his full name. Napo. Napo. Yes, the education minister. Yes, he has demonstrated extreme seriousness with his ministry. Personally, I found it refreshing that somebody who is not, quote unquote, a professional educationist has come and we are seeing some real action. Most of the times, the education ministry would usually be second tier, third tier. They don't make the news very much unless some rowdy kids decide to go on a demonstration. But he seems to be on top of the game. So I'm only hoping that this call would actually be heeded and heeded on time so that we do not have an unnecessary glitch in this new flagship program of the MPP.
I'm grateful. Kwame, the CHARS head is raising some concerns, one of which is that, for instance, food supplies is also not coming in. And she's saying that in her estimation, the new contractors maybe do not have the capacity to supply food items to the school. So she's asking the government should revert to the procurement of items to the traditional suppliers. Perhaps she's in there. She might have seen what is actually on the ground.
Well, My other colleague said it shouldn't turn into a ping pong. We normally shouldn't make it a ping pong. Indeed, the issue of our education is at the heart of whatever we want to go in the near future. If we can't educate our children properly, when we are gone, this country will be rotten. I am sure most responsible parents will commit a significant portion of their resources to giving their children education. Indeed, the current government have made free SHS. They've taken free SHS in the middle and made it a significant political issue, and then have now gotten the opportunity to make it a reality. At Koforidua, during the budget review, it is beginning to appear that we are stifling investment at the basic level, because if you have people at primary and JHS level who didn't get enough funding, so the resources were not there, I don't know what kind of free SHS you offer in the middle when people didn't get the proper foundation together. So the warning to us was to ensure that whatever we do with free SHS to make it sustainable should not be at the expense of basic level. Now, when you come to what the head of CHAS was saying, it's quite simple. In the past, the head of Adaklu Secondary School could rely on a local maize farmer or yam farmer or something to source those things locally. As of how she manages to pay them as and when the capitation and other things come is her own business. It appears currently we are being told that Buffer Stock Company would supply some of these things. This report is saying that maybe that information that Buffer Stock has been, not will be, been supplying things to the schools may not actually be accurate, because we are also being told that there's new supplies on the block which are being procured at a different level. So the local idea of let's cook local stuff for our children in local areas is being taken away. That is what she's talking about. The sad one is that you notice that the heads are saying that it is the fees from the continuing students, some of the fees they pay is what they are using to run free SHS. In other words, those who were denied the opportunity to get free SHS from the beginning are now funding those who came in on the back of getting free education. What an injustice this can be. I don't think you can be a bigger injustice to children in free SHS than this, because they all promised last year to get free SHS. The government came and redefined what free SHS means and say that it's only for first years. Okay, reluctantly some of them have gone to pay their fees, and some came in free, which they are happy. Only for those who were denied the free SHS to be funding those who are running free SHS. I think it's a wrong thing. But right, there's a bigger thing we need to think about as to whether the investment of 1.5 billion per stream, adding to probably 4.5 billion, 5 billion, if the full stream is in motion, is the best way. And I'm saying, if I have the opportunity to pay the fees of my kids, I doubt if Honorable Afenyumaki and my colleague here will say that
Ricky,
they are so poor that they couldn't pay the fees of their wards. If we can pay, why are we compelled to not pay? Isn't it the case that we should rather create a system where the vulnerable, those who can't actually pay, are the ones we support? What is this fixation about everybody, even whether you can pay or not, you shouldn't pay? And then you turn around and say that we should create a fund. Now I have money to pay, you said I shouldn't pay. But you are asking me that I should go behind and come and put money in some susu kind of account so that you use it to fund education. I don't think, look, advanced country, how do they do it? I had a kid in London. When my salary was below a certain threshold, she qualified for, what do you call it, free meals at school. When my salary got above a certain threshold, immediately, they cut it off. They said, she must come to school with her own meals and other things. It's called means testing. You can say that, oh yeah, this is flagship prioritization for the country. It's free SHS, everybody should run. But we are already being told we are diverting resources from the basic up to JHS level at the expense of SHS. And I'm saying that, fine, if we can find the money, not a problem. But you can already see, even investment in infrastructure, in teachers, is beginning to suffer. Even before the end of the first year, we have work to do. It should be there is the wish of every citizen of this country to pray and wish that government, any government that rules us, succeed in what they want to do. Why? Because that is the only way we can see progress. It shouldn't be the prayer of anybody to see free SHS fail, because if it fails, we have thrown money away. But unfortunately, we are not capable of compelling government to do the right thing. So I think the education minister, as said by my brother, but I must say that the previous education minister did a lot of work. In fact, a lot of the transformation that we see today was already there. The new minister has come with championing new government initiatives, and I have no doubt he's doing a good job. But he's got a bigger job to do to ensure that the president's vision for education particularly is realized for Ghana and for everybody.
The president acknowledged these challenges and said that work is being done to fix them. But Charles is suggesting that there should be an immediate means to resolve this: scholarships, subsidies, food supplies in arrears. That sounds quite worrying.
Well, I agree. It sounds quite worrying. I mean, these are realities. So obviously, if somebody is able to boldly point them out, it is for the attention of government and for government to look at them. But of course, you agree with me that the government has been most proactive with regards to education, launching this free SHS thing. In Europe, until recently, most countries in Europe had scholarship even at the university level. And it was, the emphasis was not for the vulnerable alone, it was for everybody. When we introduced the health insurance program, it wasn't for the few, for the many, or for those who could not afford healthcare. It was a general purpose intervention. Similarly, for this free SHS, yes, I've heard arguments that, okay, why not limit it to those who attend public schools? Say, if you attend a government-owned JHS, you qualify and all that. We've had several arguments. There are our friends in the NDC who hold the view that, oh, it should be progressive, you must have the infrastructure first and all that. That's the argument. But this government says, look, let's be bold. Let's roll it out. Rolling it out in itself will keep us on our toes by prioritizing and making sure that resources of this country are utilized in a manner that will benefit the people. So I am not against the idea of even setting up a fund. It's for the future of our children. If there's a fund where there's for voluntary contribution, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. In any event, I even have a personal view that as a nation, to sustain this, nothing should stop us from even introducing a tax for the purpose of funding our education. I hold the view that if we get to a critical point where there's a need for taxation solely for our educational system, so we should proceed on that line. Because the many that are vulnerable, because of ignorance, because of lack of education, because they are unable to get to where they are. Here, and I know that the pressure on us as political leaders, pay my school fees, pay my light bill, and all that. If today government is able to deal with that aspect for all of us, the better it is. So yes, the concerns be expressed that there are problems here and there. What is important is the boldness of government to look into all these things. It's one thing listening and not taking steps. But I'm happy that my brother to my left, my own colleague in parliament to my right, are all pointing out to one fact, that the Minister of Education is a determined person, and they are very optimistic about his ability to handle a matter like this. Now, having made the point, let me end by saying that, you see, sometimes when you appear on a program with our friends or brothers who are apolitical, some of the views they express, as though if you were a politician, your opinions are fixated, you don't have a mind of your own, so yes, an independent view. With the greatest respect, this country is being run on political line, ideologies. The constitution is clear. It allows for partisan contributions. If so you decide not to be in politics, partisan politics, so be it, but you have an opinion. So I would want to urge our friends who are apolitical, that sometimes when you present your views as though that is superior, or this is so independent, you don't want ping-pong thing, and I'm happy I'm the first to express this view. No, make your point. I am a politician. I chose to be a politician. He chose to be a politician. We come to represent the views of our party. We have our manifesto. So the fact that we express the views of our respective parties, okay, doesn't mean that we are prejudiced or we are not making the point for the benefit of this country. After all, it is political leadership that has brought Ghana that far. Kwame Nkrumah was a politician. He led this country to independence. He had his own political ideology, and those views propelled us to get to a certain level. Kufuor came and all that. So I just want to make that point clearer.
Yes, I get Ricky to react to it, but
because I take offense when some of these.
No, is it not a fact, Alex, that
yes,
politicians have sometimes discussed national issues in a way that does not benefit the nation?
I would answer you. What is a national issue? Okay, a national issue. So hold on. I look at a national. Hold on. A national issue. A national issue is looked at with a certain spectacle. I am wearing a liberal lens, and I hold my views in respect of the national issues in a certain direction. He is saying he's a social democrat. He looks at it with a different lens. It is still within the bigger bowl of national issue. Somebody says that, as for me, I don't want to be ideologically oriented. As for me, I would want to look at it this way or that way. That is also that person's opinion. I am saying that whichever way, let's give respect to our respective views. It shouldn't be that because you are not partisan,
if we have
views are superior, and that's better.
If we have taken senior high school, free senior high school, as in a policy, a national policy, why should we discuss it on partisanship?
Implementation. Look, we are in agreement.
The policy itself has been accepted by government. It's been implemented.
No, under the principles, directive principles of state policy, there are certain provisions that are to guide all of us. The National Development Planning Commission, for instance, was supposed to set up long-term plans that government after government would have to implement policies by respecting the yardsticks thereof. My point is that whichever way you would want to look at it, implementation is a matter of choice and approach. This is a government that believes in a thriving private sector. So the ordinary man on the street will tell you that, oh, as for MPP people there, omuye businessmen, omu pay juma. Another government would want to place emphasis on the public sector. Let us expand opportunities in the public sector for people to be employed. The problem we have in this country, youth unemployment. Everybody talks about unemployment. You get CVs upon CVs coming to your desk. Whether you are an NDC, MPP, whether you yourself as a media practitioner, I'm sure that you get one or two friends telling you that, oh, Bright, help me to get a job. The point is that whereas somebody believes that expanding opportunities in the public sector is the way to go, so let me employ many people here. Another person would also want to hold the view that, okay, let me encourage private sector initiatives.
Let me encourage entrepreneurship. Let me get people to get into the private sector so that they can employ people. Again, taxation. Somebody would hold a view that, look, let me give tax breaks for industry to expand. Others would say, no, let us tax those companies, those rich companies. They have so much money. Let us use that money to develop other areas. It's a matter of approach. And I'm saying that all these things work together in the national interest. It may be partisan. I conclude by saying that anybody outside the partisan political circles must not see his views or her views as so superior in the national interest than somebody who is in a partisan political circle. That is a wrong thing, and today that must stop.
Alex, I'm grateful.
Yes.
Ricky, is that what you meant? That those who, for instance, would discuss this SHS risking closure or on a partisan basis, their views are superior? Is that what you meant?
But you know, that's not what I meant. I was considering not even dignifying this outburst with a comment. Essentially, Ghanaians will bear witness that beautiful discussions have tended to be approached from entrenched positions. Nobody doubts the intent of politicians. Nobody needs an education on the Constitution this early morning. We are saying that over time, brilliant, well-intentioned people take entrenched positions to the disadvantage of the matter under discussion. From my brother's presentation, I couldn't help but hear him use must. That is not democratic. Should, ought, will want to consider is more like democracy. I will be completely wrong if I thought that my ideas on any issue were superior to another person. That, on what basis could they be? I meant to say, and I will always say, that people do not see things from a specific, to join this a position to the extent that the matter that is being discussed is not discussed properly. And believe me, right, that intervention this morning has affected the quality of discussion here. That I came out that way has affected the quality of the discussion, because somehow we've agreed on something. That's a rarity. But he said he was offended. I didn't intend to offend anybody. But politicians sometimes make us feel that just because Mr. A is in power, I mean, we see it everywhere. On the discussion on the budget, there's commentary on the social media everywhere that as for this opposition, they don't seem to see anything right with this budget. Once upon a time, when the government in power was in opposition and they seemed not to see anything right with that budget. So don't make it look like I'm discovering a new alien on this planet.
Okay, Ricky, I'm grateful. Let me break Kwabi.
Yeah, that's right. Even I can understand what Honorable Makin is saying, but what the explanation by our colleague is also in place. I mean, the fact that he says he's not intending to say, I mean, his views are more superior. Because look, we live in this country. I'll give you one example. There's a village in my community called Available. In fact, there was no school there. We actually established a new school and everything. And I had a text message from a lady saying that she wants to go there and teach the children self-confidence. And she was sending me regular text messages. And apparently, you know the volume of messages we received. One of them suggested that she needed a vehicle from me to do that. I was there, and then somebody got a page from her Facebook page telling me that do I know that there are some students in my community who couldn't do proper spelling, that she required help from me in terms of vehicle to go and visit the school, and I blatantly refused. This is a lady who can't understand that through our effort, collective effort, we actually established the school. If there's a problem, and indeed I know there are problems, the best way to deal with it is to go through the education directorate. So indeed, I contacted the education director. I am not one of the people who would agree that when you say, I want to do health screening, then you can ask my district health director. So automatically, I would order you to go into Adaklu and do that. I'll tell you, let's use the district health director. If you want to do anything about education, I'll say, let's go through that. But because she's got an organization called an NGO, she believes that once she goes there one day to do whatever she wants to do in terms of helping them, she's more superior than all the effort government, MP, assembly member, the community have been doing to improve education. I think that is the line along which maybe Honorable Afenyo Marking is looking at things, that the fact that she did not come as a politician doesn't mean that what she's doing is more superior than what we've been doing. But I would encourage, and indeed, we need voices that are not political. To be honest, sometimes I've always said that there's nobody who is not a politician in this country. Even my pastor is not apolitical. I don't know anybody. You have a view. However, you decided not to clothe yourself in one. You decide to express it when it is necessary. So we need independent voices. That one, I believe we need independent voices. Without that, we would have been in a bigger problem. But returning to this, I'm saying that the fact that just about 380,000 people, the largest workforce of government in education, last budget 8 billion, now over 9 billion, about over 70% of that 7 billion is to remuneration. Now, that does not even take into account the free SHS. And I'm saying that if we need to find 4.55 billion to just the middle section, free SHS, we better do it in such a way that it doesn't collapse the rest. I'm happy my colleague acknowledged the fact that who is expecting any new policy not to have challenges? Of course it will have challenges, because some of the fundamentals are not well known. Nobody. That is why I'm saying that as long as we can pay attention to this, that we don't embark on something that will rather bring down the quality of education, then fine. But if this is going to be done in a straitjacket that we promise free education, let's do it. Whether the food is good, whether the infrastructure is there, then the call from our colleague that we, the politicians, shouldn't take them on that trajectory, I think it's a good call as well.
Right, I'm grateful. Let me pick this one from the Times this morning. Government must curb violent groups. The Catholic bishops have spoken. I think after the conference, they have urged government to show commitment towards curbing the activities of land guards, political vigilante groups, and nomadic herdsmen. What is key about this is that, according to the Catholic bishops, government must walk the talk, and we demand that our security agencies disengage these groups once and for all. That's what the communique from the Catholic bishops said. The president has been talking about dealing with them, but the Catholic bishops group is asking that the groups are disengaged once and for all. And I guess this is not a new call, Ricky, disengaging them. Now we're trying to deal with them. The bishops are suggesting that get rid of them totally, disband the groups. Are we able to do it?
Well, it's a welcome call. I'm particularly surprised that it's taken the Catholic Bishops' Conference this long. I'm a practicing Roman Catholic, and I have seen their role in this country right from the time of President Rawlings. They almost constituted an ex-officio Council of State. Of course, other religious denominations have gained prominence, and for that matter, maybe that unique role has been lost. But this is a call that I would have expected earlier, but better late than never. The issue of these land guards and what my brother Samson Nyenini says are not vigilantes, that they are simple hooligans, is another matter that has been muddled by political activity. Here we are sitting all deciding that we do not know how they came into being. Right, you and I know how they came into being. I wrote on another platform, I said, political parties have made it worthwhile for people to undertake these activities. However, no political party is on record to have come out to admit that they have a hand. Not that they set up an advert and said, please come and be employed as a vigilante, no. But by their acquiescence, by their tacit approval, by their use of these things, we now have a monster. I got calls from very good friends telling me, no, what you said was not fair. I said, no. The NDC glorified somebody who was on record to have such a past by making the person a regional chairman. Incidentally, he's a good friend of mine. I hope that our friendship persists after this. But that was the wrong signal we sent. I don't want to go into, we all know the facts of the matter. So until we become honest. So today somebody will say, oh, it's because of unemployment. Tomorrow somebody will say it's because some people made promises that they will add them to the national security and they have not delivered. That is no excuse for blatant crime. I mean, those people, if you live in Accra, you know that you go and buy your piece of land, you actually believe that you've got all the documentation. The next day you arrive there are some gun-wielding, machete-wielding, huge men asking you for monies that are not legitimate. We are in this country, and there were rumors that a senior police officer had some dealings with these land guards. Rumors, let me make it very clear. What I'm trying to establish here is that until we are honest about the problem, we will be massaging the problem into eternity.
I'm grateful. Alex, the bishops are asking that the groups be disengaged. I think this is an issue that some civil society organizations have rallied support for, disengaging these hooligans, if that's how we want to call them. Is it doable by political parties?
Let me understand the language well. Disengage who? What was disengagement?
Okay. Disband these groups.
But are they a registered entity? If you say disband, you are using that phrase in the context of law. If you say you disband,
they seem to be, because they have a name in these political parties that we see.
No, you see, we don't have in the constitution of NPP, for instance, a militant wing.
Right.
There is no such thing. So if somebody makes a call on me or on a political party, MPP or NDC or I mean, that's disband. There's a problem.
However, by convention, they have become part of these political parties. I mean, if you go back to the NDC, we used to hear of the Azoka boys. We have the Invincible Forces and all that. By convention, not by, they have become part of political parties.
Right, I find it difficult to appreciate your point in that direction. Rather, I would approach it this way, that we should have confidence in the systems that protect us, that enforce our laws. So, for instance, if I am in opposition today and I'm campaigning and something happens and I'm able to point it out to the police, and the police in my area are able to protect me or address that problem, I may not be compelled to get my own private security, or I may not be compelled to get some youth to protect my interests. That's, if you are talking reality, that is how some of these things generate. So in a political party, some youth would want to champion the cause of the party, making sure that they protect the party's interests on all that election day activity, for instance, registration. Somebody has done nothing because they think that, oh, these guys are weak guys, somebody would want to even intimidate you. So we have some of these young men who may want to protect the interests of their parties and all that. Yes, I agree that if we allow these to grow over time, it becomes a problem on society. That I agree. Now, the issue of disbanding, I mean, it is not a legal entity, so to speak, or they are not rooting the authority in any law, so that argument will not hold. Rather, I would want to believe that the Catholic bishops are looking forward to a constructive, continuous engagement by all stakeholders in having absolute confidence in the law enforcement system, such that there wouldn't be the need for somebody to have a vigilante group or somebody in real estate to have land guards. So if you have you are a real estate developer, or if you're going to buy property and you have problems with it and there's any fraud related matter, go to the police. Believe that the police would come and do the needful. If you have issues, you go to court, believing that the court system will deliver justice. I'm sure that over time, because most of the real estate developers have their own land guards, they pay them, they arm them, they register guns for them. Recently, it has happened in my constituency. So it is about having confidence in the system. It is about a continuous engagement where our police would be given the opportunity to exercise their constitutional mandate of enforcing the law and protecting all of us.
All right. Alex, I'm going to come in and wrap up.
I will just do something. We want to describe the people we are talking about to find out whether government perceives them that way to be able to deal with them. A vigilante, the dictionary says, a member of a self-appointed group of citizens who undertake law enforcement in their community without legal authority because the existing law enforcement authorities have failed. Then when you come to a terrorist, it says a person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of a political aim. Anybody watching us, listening to these two definitions, what will you call the group of people doing this? If you're able to call them a terrorist, because that is what they are using violence and everything for a political aim. So if you see, when we say terrorist, we are only thinking of a suicide bomber. But somebody who is actually intimidating, going to beat people up, forcibly eject people from office, is actually carrying out terrorism. If you actually properly define them, then government will take bigger action. To be honest, I will not say that there never existed a group of as such in NDC, but today is a government where we have a situation where everybody engaged in this bad act you can call terrorism are never CPP members, are never NDC members. All of them in this current era are NPP members, and the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces is the president of the republic, who is the leader of their party. The Catholic bishops, I mean, I agree. Sometimes I, as a person, am amazed how organizations that would have been on top of the roof shouting day and night, if certain things were to happen under my government, under the NDC government, all of a sudden can't see anything. I agree, better late than not, but it's getting too late. And I'm saying that the rest of the organization who would have been saying these things in the past, we are all watching. We want you to speak because you're all Ghanaians, but the president is the only one who can deal with it. And I'm saying this has nothing to do with vigilantism. This is terrorism. And the earlier we see it, look, countries that have nurtured violent people didn't start with suicide bombing. It started with this and then grew up to be the monster we can't control anymore. It's not in the interest of NDC or NPP for us to let this thing fester any further.
I'm grateful. He's a member of parliament for the Adaklu constituency, a member of the NDC, Honorable Kwame Agboja there. I also had a member of parliament for the Futu constituency, a member of the NPP, Honorable Alex Dafinyo Markin, and then the founder of the Youth Enterprise Development Foundation, Ricky Kasisi. Gentlemen, grateful for your Monday morning with us. Those of you who sent in your comments, we'll get ready to read them. Stay with us. There is more after this.
So welcome back. Let's do some messages now. It says, hi, good morning. I want to say congratulations to the pride of the North, Zainab. And Alhamdulillah to the Almighty, and the rest too, congrats, because they all did well. That's from Nafisa Hamadu from Dodowa. Also, repairs on Yape and Buipe bridges again. How many in just this year? We need to be serious as a nation. I think some people are using it to chop government money. Are the engineers really engineers? That's coming from Abukari in Bogatanga. Good morning, bro. Kindly help me with a birthday message to my daughter Hilda Oparijan from Father Emmanuel Oparijan of Daily Democrat newspaper and the entire family. Good morning, Bright. What is the point in introducing subjects we cannot have materials to teach and learn to their full benefits? We have virtually politicized everything in this country, including education. We can't have education improved when all policies are targeted at pupils who live in the cities only. The pupils in our rural areas have been neglected for far too long. I teach in one of these areas, so I feel and share the agony of these pupils. Overhauling is not the answer. Provision of the materials needed, putting measures in place to make the teacher comfortable, and proper supervision are the sure ways to making education better. That's coming from Komla Selikem in Kitekrachi. Also, Al-Hassan Wawana in Wa says, good morning to you and your viewers. The Juma budget that was read on Wednesday in the Parliament House clearly shows that the competent President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and MPP are committed to serve the good people of Ghana and to transform the economy to the desired level. Also, good decision. Corolla and Camry are good regardless of securities. After all, they are supposed to maintain the roads and they are not. Okay, so they should not be allowed to risk, or they should go through the risk, I guess, like every citizen does. From Justice Azuma inside Ayopia. Also, good morning, TV3. Congratulations to Zainab and TV3. Please, when will Daily Run to come to Northern Region? I like your programs. That's Nicholas from Tamale. It will surely get there. Also, good morning, TV3. Please, why did the government snub the sports sector when presenting the 2018 budget to Parliament? Or just because the Black Stars did not qualify for the 2018 World Cup in Russia? Eyasemo. That's Ismaila Ali and Nima. Also, good morning, Mr. Bright and the panelists. Is a painful loss to journalism in Ghana. May God rest his soul. I wish we won't miss another good man anytime soon. That's coming from Michael in Sominga. Also, the stubborn fly will always follow the corpse to the grave. MPP, where? MPP haven't told the distraction the free SHS will bring, but they wouldn't agree with good Ghanaians because they were interested in punishing these innocent children. And here we parents are now regretting on this azar-free SHS 2020 in one corner. That's coming from Prof. Shak in the Northern Region. Also, Taufik in Tamale says, good morning, Bright. I think we are just about to ruin our SHS system. This government is in mad rush to implement its manifesto. Ghanaians are known to talk more and do less. We have very, very good ideas when we talk, but to implement it, it becomes a sham. If care is not taken, we will turn our vibrant SHS into the current public primary and JHS free, but no serious parent takes his or her ward there. Also, the challenges of free SHS policy will not end soon. In fact, the challenges will continue to take great shape of problems because government refused to back down and take a second look at its implementation. The problems are across the whole 10 regions and it is bizarre. That's Alaji Willie P and Efiakuma. Also, good morning, TV3. Please tell President Akufo-Addo to do something about payment of NHIS bills in Karaga District Hospital. Right now, the health insurance are holding the hospital up to 14 months, and so therefore the hospital are not able to pay casual workers for 10 months now. So those are your messages that have come in this morning. Indeed, we hope the appropriate people have heard the messages and will respond to it.
All right. So some more of your comments there. They're welcome. Keep them coming. We'll read all of them. But this morning, a lot more is coming up on the show, and we'll tell you why some teenage girls in King Kandina community, that's in the West Mamprusi district in the Northern Region, are being forced into marriage. What we're told is that for a bag of corn and sometimes roofing sheet, they are given out into marriage. That is indeed a worry. Eva Atibuka was there and has this report.
Girls in the Kinkandina community are seen as assets. Many of them are married off before they turn 14 years. Gloria was rescued from marriage at age 13.
I was in the house and they told me I was getting married. I was very sad.
13, 14. See yourself in the picture.
By now I would have had 2 or 3 children.
But would you have survived it?
By now I wouldn't have been the way I am now. I would have been miserable.
Rather the parents who are forcing the girls to marry. Sometimes that they will give them a bag of maize or they will go and farm for them. Talking of Gloria case, the man promised the father that he will roof 2 rooms for him. That is where the whole thing started.
At age 18, some already have 3 or more children. It was difficult getting information from the girls as they feared being victimized. Efiatia was married at age 13.
A senior most girl was supporting her to work so they could support the family. They could feed the family. And that's why they didn't go to school. As they were growing, the next step was to get a man, go to Kayaye, and then get married.
She's 30 now with 8 children. Although she regrets not going to school, she has no educational plan for her children. She has already married off 2 of them. The 3rd child is the only one in school. Not far from now, she may be given out for marriage.
She is 13 years old and might drop out of school because she already has a boyfriend and does not sleep at home. We tried to discipline her, but she is very notorious. So marriage is the only option.
When we try controlling her, she will run away from home and we might not find her anywhere near.
A fierce husband has shirked his responsibilities, further deepening her plight. Feeding the children is a challenge.
My husband is not helping at all. I take care of the children from my 4-acre farm, and that is not easy with me.
The mother of 8 is opting for family planning, but it appears she is late. Efia, just like many girls in the West Mampresi district, are pushed into marriage at a tender age but are unable to tell their story due to victimization. With the current situation, family planning and health experts will have a difficulty in controlling birth and population growth in the district.
Sad situation there, and girls being given out in marriage at that age. And it's interesting, Amma, when you go up there, what you find there about how the education has to be truncated because of this. But we'll tell you more about that later on. But for now, let's jump into Zimbabwe. It's just about 8:38 here, 10:38 in Zimbabwe, Harare. Wisdom Nzungari is the editor of the NewDay newspaper in Zimbabwe, and he's just joined me. Good morning, sir. Grateful that you have joined us.
Great, how are you?
Great. Now, let's begin from here. President Mugabe in the speech raised some concerns, one of which is the fact that he thinks what is going on is illegal, it is unconstitutional, and he says he wants the right thing to be done. 12 midday local time, he's been asked to step down. Is he going to step down?
Look, I think the question of the president stepping down is far. It is too far-fetched at the moment because they want to follow the law. So his political party, ZANU-PF, yesterday recalled him and elected somebody to replace him. So they are not going to charge him that effect. Obviously, he is not going to be representing his party in the next election. That's in 2018, because they've elected his deputy Mnangagwa to take over. They say the reason why they recalled him to say he is now incapacitated, and they want him to rest. And I'm sure, according to the wedding, they want to protect him even from persecution.
I see. I am trying hard to hear you, but is what you're saying the fact that you think Mugabe is finding a way not to step down?
Very true, yes. He will not step down by himself. And in any case, the law in Zimbabwe, the constitution stipulates that the president cannot resign, cannot announce his resignation. He writes a letter to the Speaker of Parliament, who will make the announcement to Parliament. And I think that this will be done tomorrow. The reason being, the ruling party yesterday activated a clause to say they are going to impeach him. That's tomorrow. So I think everything is done legally now. And there is no need for the president to resign in that case.
I see. Now, those members of ZANU-PF party who said that they have sacked or relieved Mugabe of his position as leader of the party, Mugabe is saying that they do not have the powers under the constitution of the party to do that.
Apparently, they do have the mandate, and legally they can do that for as long as they constitute a quorum. And the quorum consists of all the provinces, and the country has 10 provinces. And all the 10 provinces resolved that the president must be relieved of his duties. And that's a quorum. So legally, they can do that.
I see. Is the impeachment process going to be successful?
Sorry?
I'm asking if the impeachment process will succeed. I'm asking again, with the impeachment process, the process to get Mugabe impeached, can it succeed?
I think it will be very successful. Why? Because if you look at what happened over the weekend, where both political parties, opposition and the ruling party gathered together to demonstrate against his long rule, it will tell you that the impeachment will fall through very easily, unless something happens. But I foresee a situation where the ruling party and the opposition are going to gain against the president. And this will happen tomorrow.
I'm grateful for your time. Wisdom in Zungari is the editor of the NewsDay newspaper in Zimbabwe, talking to us from there. The deadline is for Mugabe to step down by midday local time. It will happen, but if I were Mugabe, I'll step down.
Certainly. Anyway, guys, so GMB has finally come to an end, and we crowned a queen yesterday, and she'll be joining us here on NewDay. So stay with us. When we come back from the break, you'll be hearing from Queen Zainab. Well, so we promised and we've delivered. GMB has come to a close, and we have Queen Zainab, GMB Queen 2017. She's from the Northern region, and she's here with us. Good morning, darling.
Good morning.
You don't look like you slept at all. I'm sure you're jubilating all night.
In fact, I was overexcited, so I couldn't believe it. I don't know. I just don't know.
But this is what you had been working up for. So
Yeah.
when you say you couldn't believe it, is it that you didn't feel you had met the challenge, or you felt there were others who were better than you? Or what exactly was it?
Not really, but then it's a competition,
Right.
and I know my strength and I know my weakness. So I really wanted to work very hard for it.
Okay.
So I just spoke to myself, Zainab, it's a competition, and you are here as a region, not an individual.
Right.
So whatever I do, I try to put my best in it. So I just spoke to myself that Zainab, I just need to wake up from my sleep and concentrate on whatever I'm here for.
And that did a trick. All right. So then Madam Judge held the microphone and said GMB 2017 season 11 winner, and you heard your name. What came into mind first?
What actually came in my mind was, is it real? Am I really the one?
You thought you were watching Kasha.
A movie. Yes. And I realized that I wasn't crying. I wanted to cry, like nothing was just here. But then I just felt so good. I said to myself, at long last,
right,
the battle has ended, and I've finally made my people proud. Yes.
I see. You really had, judging from what we saw on the screen, you had a lot of votes from the northern part of the country. How supportive were they? How were you able to rally them, to push their strength behind you?
Okay, over the years, there have been queens that come to represent the northern region, but there haven't been a particular tribe, that's the Banli spoken language. So when I was coming, I made sure I went around the communities. Personally, like, you know, it hasn't happened. You can't just come. I've been auditioned and I've been picked to represent my region, and I'll just leave town like that. So I actually went to the market, the communities, to tell them that I've been picked to represent their region, and when I go, I'll try and put in my best. So they should also support me by voting, because I heard that they don't really know, like they don't really like voting. So with the votes and my hard work, we'll be able to take the crown to the north.
And that again did the trick. Yes. We'll get you the chance for you to speak to them directly in your language.
Certainly.
Yes, we can go on. We'll come to that.
So for you now you are the queen. You're no longer a contestant. You have a whole year to reign. You have a year of bragging rights. You have a year to, you know, champion your cause. What exactly is your cause, and how do you think you're going to start off with this?
Actually, my project is on maternal mortality, because where I come from, the northern region, we face that kind of problem. So with that, when I'm now the GMB queen, so anywhere I go, I'll be appreciated and be welcomed. So I'll just talk to some of the stakeholders and go to the NGOs to know how, and the kind of health workers. You know, I've realized this. Most of the health workers, when they post them to the rural communities, they don't really want to go. So I'll just find a strategy to get that done. Or better still, the traditional herbal
birth attendants and
in the community, we can just take them through training so that they'll be able to have a better delivery in some of the
and that's the project you're going to bank up, particularly because of the fact that you have seen it all before from where you
actually
come from.
I had an auntie who went through that and she passed out, so it hurts my heart.
And that's why you want to embark on that. For instance, one key thing you mentioned, health workers who are not ready to go to these rural communities. The problem is that it is because there is no development there. That's why they won't go. So these are some of the obstacles you'll be facing. But how do you intend to perhaps broaden your project so that at least you're fighting for the women? On the other hand, you're pushing authorities, duty bearers, government, to open up these places to development so that these health officers can go there when they're posted.
I'll create awareness and then sensitize the people also. Creating awareness, making the people to know the importance of going to the hospital to be checked. And also, some of the mothers believe that when they deliver at home, they have this where they say, like, she's hardcore. No.
Yeah.
But you need to just go to the hospital. When you tell them that, oh, when I go there, the doctors, so I'll just sensitize them on the need to go to the hospital.
Anyway, but share with us some of your highlights, because it's been 13 weeks of no phone, no internet, no boyfriend, no family. Share with us some of your highlights whilst in the house. If you can remember one memorable one or one very disappointing day.
Actually, one memorable one was the day we went for Labu Labu. Yeah.
What is that?
It's an island that we go there for an adventurous and I don't know.
You spent time there.
We spent time there, we had fun, and I really picked one thing over there because I find myself on an island. So then how do I survive? And I realized that with hard work and with togetherness, when you are together, you are able to do a lot of things within a short period of time. So I learned a lot and I really had fun.
Do you drive? Are you a certified driver?
No, please.
Okay, so you need to find a chauffeur first.
Yes.
Can I apply for the job?
Come on. Kashi.
I can't trust Bright with that, field, but certainly you could ask
the Kia Sportage is for her. She doesn't drive.
But within the shortest time, now DVLA is working very well. We have the
but it will take her more than 6 months to learn to drive. So I want to, I
am
a certified driver.
So you teach her?
No, I want to chauffeur her at least for the next.
But she would have to pay you. Or is it for free?
Well, she can pay. She
she's rich.
Money, so she can also pay.
Certainly.
So the car is yours. You also you have a trip outside. You have so much. I don't know. I'm tempted to ask, what are you going to do with all that? A car, cash, a trip outside. We're told Kenya, Dubai, and all others.
I think with the trip, I need to go and relax, and then with the car, working on my projects, I will need it to be able to move to communities, to talk to them and all.
That's why I will be
and with the cash.
I can take you
with the cash, I'm sure it got finished even before it landed in your hand.
Oh,
because now you have to go to the north and say thank you, and definitely that will go with something in hand.
Oh no, that is meant for my project, so I don't think I'll touch
it. Certain. But anyway, you should thank the people, because next time you need the support, even as you champion your project. So thank them in your local dialect, as you've.
Nanuma, umbanuma, minuma, umporia pam ni intap song ma, umbaminle yelisham ama, bishakam ni yel na mi on number shang, mi poya pam kapai, now sablada. Thank you.
I didn't understand that, but I feel the passion with which you spoke. And certainly, I'm sure your people also are very appreciative of your hard work and having been. Are you crying?
Well,
you're teary.
No, I
certainly.
So, Zainab, so you believe in the house and mommy, daddy, him.
Who is him?
Jesus.
You. Oh,
Jesus.
Okay, who do you go first? Mommy, daddy, uncle, him, or where do you go first?
Mommy, daddy.
Him,
family.
And family, and okay, or add all of them. Where do you go first?
Mommy, daddy.
Okay, all right.
Mommy, daddy, uncle.
If you are him and you're listening, that's what she said.
Anyway, guys, so you heard it from the Queen. Congratulations once again, and I hope your people will all come on board. Past queens, your contestants, your contemporaries will be in your project to help you make it successful.
And of course, all those who took part in the competition, the important thing is that you were part of a contest, a great one at that, 13 weeks of sharing ideas. We have a queen. You're also the queen because you did your best. You got to represent your region. Certainly. Imagine a 27 million population. Some regions are about 4 million, 5 million. And if you is the rep, then it means that you're a queen too. Grateful for your contest, putting up a contest, and Zainab becoming the queen. Once again, congratulations.
Well, guys, this is where the cookie crumbles. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Johnny was not here because he was at GMB being the MC, but tomorrow he'll certainly be here from his leave. We'll see you same time.
All right. Have a wonderful Monday morning and stay right here on TV3. Good morning.
You show me